Yo, what is up guys? In this video we're going to be building a $400 gaming PC. Anyways, let's get into it. Before the video does start, here are the specs of the gaming PC so you can check them out for yourself. So now let's get into everyone's favorite part of the PC, the actual build. So here you can see that we're using a nice Dell motherboard. These things are pretty cheap, they're like $13. You can get them off eBay. All these parts are from eBay, except the RAM, which is from Amazon. 16 gigs of DDR3 RAM, but it is pretty expensive for being DDR3. And here we have just, an everyday RAM installation. To install RAM, you just want to make sure that it does click on both sides. And make sure the notch on the bottom of the RAM does match up with the motherboard, or else you could break your RAM. And then I'm just going to be continuing this with the other RAM stick as well. So now it is time for the CPU installation. The CPU that I am using in this build is a i5 2500K. It is around 20 bucks and it's a really good budget CPU. The only downside to it is that you can only use it with DDR3 RAM. But anyways, let's go ahead and install it. Make sure to pull up all the little lever on the motherboard. Make sure that the CPU arrow is matching up with the motherboard arrow, and you just let the CPU sit in. You don't want to push the CPU because that could damage the pins. So after that, we are all done with the CPU installation. It's actually really that easy. Here's a quick tip for you guys. You can always install the RAM, CPU, and CPU cooler out of the case just to make your life that much easier. So here is our case. We're going to be using the Montech X1 in the build. You can see it has a front mesh, which is going to be extremely good for airflow, and we get a glass panel, side panel for only $54. But at the time of this video's upload, this case does no longer sell. They do have the Montech X2 now, which is like $5 more, but it looks way nicer. It's more of a clean look. Yeah, cable management is going to be a problem. Like, the cables are not really clean when the case arrives, so you gotta fix those on your own. It's also a very tight fit for the motherboard, so you have to actually bend that. I had to pry that back and bend it so this Dell motherboard could fit. But this is most likely just a problem with this Dell OEM motherboard, which is not meant for this case. Anyways, let's screw. Next up, we do have CPU cooler installation. So this cheap $20 CPU cooler from eBay does come with thermal paste, which is a steal. Yeah, cringe warning, I may have put a little bit too much thermal paste on the CPU, but it still works. It's still fine, okay? Don't hate on me for it. So installing the CPU cooler was not fun because it was already inside the case, the motherboard, and it was really hard to fit my hands in there because the case is pretty tight. This here is a CPU cooler cable adapter because Dell has their own proprietary connector, so you have to buy one of these cheap adapters to make the CPU cooler work and function the right way. So yeah, that's that, and here's just me, casually installing it. I thought this right here was pretty satisfying, by the way. So now let's talk about our GPU. The GPU that we're using is a white MSI GTX 1050 Ti. And for a 1050 Ti, this GPU looks pretty nice, but it did come somewhat damaged. As you can see right there, I had to bend that back to make the GPU actually fit inside. And I did bend it a little bit more forward than it needed to be just so it fit in the case. Yeah. Thanks a lot, eBay shipping. Or maybe I even broke it, who knows. But at least we fixed it at the end of the day, and it fit inside the PC barely. Look at the motherboard 24-pin cable. Yeah, that's going to be a problem later, but I fixed it off camera. But anyways, here's the power supply. It's a EVGA 500 watt power supply. Anyways, I installed that, screwed in pretty simple, and I did the cable work off camera. So anyways, get ready for the PC review.
14 in the crib, trying to be a trap nigga. Now I got me some floor seats at the game, trying to go bad nigga. Got me feeling like Spike Lee on the wood, smoking on Pat nigga. Drunk texting my wifey, so I know I'll get a text back nigga. 45 on my white tee, used to have this shit up on the dash nigga. Got Got a lot on my psyche, on my mind, I ain't talking hats, nigga. Like I said on that Syfy, when I train, I tend to overlap niggas. Heard them niggas wanna fight me, we grown, I don't really scrap, nigga. Been through a lot, I'm forgetting to pray, like what do I say, I know what I want, wanna get it today, but I've been afraid, that maybe I won't, I'm no longer afraid, I do what I have to. They sending me shots that I never react to. You mad that I passed you? Them hoes gon' need me. Get them out my face, cut them out my VVs, shine brighter than space. Coming down like sweetie, why you always hate?